I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm Jay Clay, rapper, the spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode. 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 Perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode.
Perfect.
What up? What up? What up? Welcome to Perfect Mode. And first off, I got to start by telling y'all that we love y'all. We're grateful for the opportunity to be anywhere, sharing our thoughts in the way that we view life and hopefully helping you realize you're perfect, because that's what this is about. And the reason we can unapologetically jump on and say that is because I know that you are one of one. Numero uno, you cannot be replicated or duplicated. And that in itself is what makes you perfect. And the only way that you would think that you're not is if you're looking at somebody else and you're saying, hey, I'm not like them. But we're going to leave that right there. But of course, it's yours truly, Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. And I have my boy, Jay Clay, spiritual rapper and teacher. And we about to jump on today and we finna talk about revealing what you've kept hidden. What up, Jay?
What up? Happy Sunday. Happy, beautiful, warm Sunday in this part of the world.
I know, it's real warm. And that ain't hidden, I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
So question for you before we get into it, revealing what you've kept hidden is, that is gigantic, right? Like, because I think a lot of times in our life, we just live in a way that we stay reserved, and not just stuff that is mischievous, but just our lives is in general. Like, we just like to not be open or share with people, because again, we're not looking at ourselves as perfect. But I want to know what your thoughts were and what made you come to this, this topic.
Yeah. So, like, you think about a light, right? A light is meant to shine. When a light shines, not only can you see the light brightly, you see everything it shines on. And a lot of times people want to be that shining light, but they want to keep certain things hidden, keep certain things in the dark. And it's like, how can a light be dark? It's not a light anymore. It's not even dark. It's something entirely different. And even thinking about this, even with myself, there are some things that I've kept in the dark that I'm not 100% open with. And it's worth looking at why. Like, is there fear involved? Is there something else? If we are to be like, why keep anything hidden? Why move in the dark at all? Why not move in the light and be the light to be the light? And so that's kind of the basis of, I want to get into this. I want to see what's in the crevices of these dark places.
So I'm going to tell you the thing that shot out to me when you just said it is the things that we keep in the dark within our own self. Now, I'm talking about removing any outside factors, any outside people, just the things that we know about ourselves that we don't even want to announce to ourselves, I think is a real big thing. And, so I'll start here, right? The first thing that came to my mind when I saw the topic was, funny enough, my wife sent me an article on Instagram, and it was talking about relationships, and it said people who share their relationships on social media a lot tend to be less happy, right? And it's kind of contradictory to what we're saying, but when I sat back and I thought about it, I said, okay, I get it. Because what happens is when you share things socially or you share things in the public, you try to refine the product before you put it out. You try to make it better than what. Now, this is the crazy part. You try to make it better than what it is. Like you try to make it to the liking of what you think other people are going to say. You know what? That's tight. And so to me, that let me know that there's an underappreciation of what's real. Like that lets me know there's an underappreciation of the true reality of things. And I think that again, to me, that's why I highlight, why we keep things hidden is because we minimize who we are. We're minimizing what we're doing, and we don't actually see the light in it ourselves. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and exactly, and I've noticed that too with certain couples. Like, oh, I thought they were happy on social media. It's you see laughing, good time, everything. And then the ones that are happy, you don't really hear much about them. But one thing I want to explore, I guess, first is there a difference between like not sharing and hiding, or is that the same thing?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's the same thing because the reality of it is there are some people that are just not sharers, which that's they're not sharers in the sense of I'm getting on social media or I'm going out in the public to show people what I'm doing. But they're just natural sharers, meaning they don't have any reservation of showing people who they are. So meaning like what you see is what you get, but I'm not going to not be myself for any reason. You get what I mean? So I think that when we think, because of social media, we think of sharing like clicking a button. Like, let me put this potential thing out there so everybody can see it. But I think that, me and my family getting up and coming to your house to kick it is a version of sharing our life with you. And that's kind of how I see that. So I think that there is a difference.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. Because I was thinking about that, like, because even I'll put it like this, even on Facebook, right? There was a time on Facebook, I would just share all kind of stuff, just my thoughts and stuff. But even now, I don't like to just share idle thoughts randomly anymore because I understand the power of words and things. But in some cases, some of the things that I would want to say are not necessarily offensive, but they could be taken offensively. And so it was like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't post this publicly. Maybe I won't share this. Maybe I'll just share this to a select few people. And just even thinking of that, like I'm wondering, is that even still shielding a part of myself? Like, because I'm not being myself fully, but I am being myself in a way.
So I'm going to tell you straight up, bro, that is one of the biggest hindrances in my life. So one thing that I haven't actually done it in a while, and the reason why is just being busy, but sometimes I will get in a loop on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, and I'll get into videos and I'll start scrolling and looking at videos. Now, when you get on Reels on Facebook or you get on TikTok, when you hit the share button, a list of people come up automatically, right? And you can click the people that you want to share to. And the thing is, I consistently share to the same people. It might be 10 people that I share to, but the thing is, I don't share everything to those 10 people. So just kind of give you an example. I have my Uncle Didi and my Auntie Maria. I might have you. I have my mom. I have my mother-in-law. I have my wife. I have my brothers. And so if I see that there's something that's language heavy, then I might not share it to my mom and my dad. But again, that's me, number one, thinking that if they see me sharing this, they're going to look at me a different way. Or if I share this to them, it's going to offend them. And again, knowing within myself, I never do anything to offend anybody, not purposely, not the people that I care about, but then not only taking into account that these people that I'm sharing to know that I don't necessarily do anything to offend people on purpose too. So we'll go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, no, that's it exactly. Like, because again, how you do anything is how you do everything. And that can easily translate without us realizing that we might have gifts to share with the world, but we're picking and choosing, we're prejudging who could accept them and who can't accept them. And I see ways that I'm doing that myself. And it's like, man, okay, yeah, I need to do this a different way and be more open and just be more light-like in a sense. Well, yeah, go ahead.
No. So to that point, bro, and I'm gonna tell you about. It was a TikTok that I saw, and it's this comedian, and I apologize that I can't think of his name, but maybe I'll talk about it on another show. But again, this goes into the mindset of number one, we're so fearful of the judgment of ourselves, right? Like I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, right? Well, there's this one comedian, he's doing this set on stage, and there's a lady with an oxygen mask sitting in the audience, right? And he's a roaster. So anybody that comes to his shows knows that he's going to roast, right? But, you know, me sitting back looking at the situation that it happens, if I was there, you know, this is what I thought anyway. If I was there, I would be like, man, please don't roast this lady. She on oxygen. She might, you know, she might not take it right. But the craziest part was she's like, I drove 4 hours to come and see you. And he was like, you came to see me knowing I was going to be talking about you? And she was like, yeah. And so he proceeds to, I'm talking about, obliterate this lady. And the cool part was the entire time she was rolling, and you can tell it wasn't fabricated where she's like, let me just save face until I get out of here. She literally was having the time of her life. And it just shows that we set a level of sensitivity on people that we don't know. And, you know, then I also think about, you know, people that I'm cool with or that I've come across that have been handicapped, and they're like, don't treat me any different than anybody else. Treat me the same. But again, us trying to mitigate situations and minimize ourselves, now not understanding that, look at what I'm doing to myself. I'm shortchanging Troy. And the reality of it is everybody in my life only wants me anyway. And that means all of me. And if there was ever anything that was offensive, I should understand that there's going to be enough communication to go around for them to communicate it to me and let me know versus me try to dictate what they can and what they cannot take.
Yeah. Yeah. And now that you say that, that is one of the reasons we love comedians. They are like unapologetically true to their world. They'll say the things that are private that you're like, I can't believe they just said that. And they said that openly and it's true, or I resonate with that in some way. And that's exactly how I try to be with my music. Like I try to just tell that truth, whether it's going to be well accepted or not. And I stand on that. But then there are ways, again, that I'm not super open and just stand openly. I make those same restrictions, those hidden. And it's like, again, you can't be like when you have things that are hidden.
So that's one of the reasons, bro, why I love music for myself, because I can't hide anything in music. Like, I've never been the type of person that can write a song that didn't pertain to me and be happy about it. So every time I write, it's always going to be something that could be, it may affect somebody in a way that I might feel like is adverse for our circumstances or whatever, right? But one of the things that I will tell you, and again, this goes back to having kids, man. I get to be on autopilot and repeat for certain things, and this is specifically one of them. My son, which most people be like, why you let your kid get on TikTok? But I let my 11-year-old son get on TikTok. TJ, he'll scroll on TikTok, but I'm always trying to put restrictions on it, right? Like, you're on that mug too long. Now, there's a reason why I do it. The reason why I do it is because I never want him to get in the loop of just appreciating other people and not appreciating himself, right? Because again, when you appreciate other people more than you appreciate yourself, that's when you start to be reserved about who you are or reserved about what you're willing to share. And so for my son, I always would tell him, like, I don't care about you watching TikTok, but you better make a TikTok. You better make one, and like, you show people who you are, because the reality of it is all you're doing is watching people be them, and you're as important, you're as creative, you're as interesting. But again, it's hard to see that when you get drug in that way. Go ahead, Jay.
Man, okay, so what's funny about that, like this, okay, so this weekend, this is one of them tired weekends. Like, I haven't had one in a long time. It was great. Sat around, did nothing. But yesterday, I watched too much social media. Like, I was in all the loops, in TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. I was on it too much. And I actually had those thoughts. I was like, man, these some talented people that are on these things. Like, man, what am I doing with my life? Like, I started questioning myself, like I'm not doing something with my life. And I was like, nope, I need to get off. I need to create. I need to go into that creative form, and that's what I did. Like I had a nice time with music and getting some songs finished and stuff. But that's absolutely true. So is that the answer to, I guess, get out of this darkened mindset almost? Like, is to just start to create for you, not necessarily share it, but then just create.
No, I think that is absolutely the key. And that's why I said that I get to be on autopilot about what I'm saying to my son. So again, the average person wouldn't let their kid get on TikTok, but I just try to look at everything that I let my kids do that are outside of the norm as a learning experience. Like, what can I teach them while they're doing it? And so again, I get to tell him whether he believes it or not, like, you're as interesting. So every single time we're doing something, like, he's a basketball player, but he never posts basketball TikToks, right? And I'm always like, why don't you do some of your skill stuff and put it on TikTok? And he'd be like, oh, okay. Or and he's doing something else. Why don't you record you doing this and put it on there? Because I'm trying to show him, look how cool this is. Somebody else is, you're doing the exact same thing. And the other thing that I think that we got to realize is that, well, I guess I can't speak for everybody, but everything I like, I don't like. I don't hit the like button. Everything I like, I don't share. And so just because there's no reaction doesn't necessarily mean that you're not creating things that people need, because people need us. And that's what I think we lose it. Like, you think that you have to have a button click in order for you to be needed. And the reality of it is it doesn't. Like, I help my kids all day and they never tell me thank you. Like, but I'm saying, yeah. But I do it, but I understand that whether they tell me thank you or not, they're thankful for me. And so I look at life like, how am I looking at, how do I look at this? Okay, well, now it gives me the freedom to be creative. It gives me the freedom to go and be myself and say, regardless of the responses, I know that the person that is supposed to get to, it will. And I think that's where success comes from for some of these people, is because I won't say that they absolutely don't care, but I think they're absolutely being themselves. Go ahead.
I love that, because especially when you create for yourself first, like, again, like you're doing it to help others in some way, or to entertain, or to whatever your purpose is. As long as you're doing it for yourself first, you can do it forever, and you're always getting something from it, whether there is a like, a click, a comment, or share, or whatever. And that's so true. And like, that could be very discouraging, because you're like, man, why nobody like this, or why nobody do this? But we are all needed. The thing that I'm so fascinated about with the things of the TikToks and the videos I see is how different they are, how unique they are. And again, if everybody was the same, we wouldn't get caught in these loops, because it's like, yep, I saw this video already. I saw this type of video already. And when we're not creating, when we're not showing the world ourselves, when we're not being that light, we're in a sense robbing the world of a light that was meant to be lit.
No, listen, bro. And again, that's us walking around and not appreciating who we are in every moment. Because again, and I get it. You can walk around and it's hard to see what people are seeing. It's hard to realize, like, you use myself as an example. Why do these parents want me to coach their kids? Is it just because they see that my son is, he has a little bit more skill? Is it the fact that maybe they like the way that I talk to their kids? Is it just the way that my demeanor is? I don't know, right? But the reality of it is, I'm in all of these places because of me. And so when I start trying to shortchange who I am, that they were looking for, that they needed from me, starts to be shortchanged as well. Like I told you before, when we were in a mastermind, I came to everybody in my life at some point and I apologized. And it doesn't mean that I've gotten it right today, but I apologize because I was like, I'm not being 100 with y'all. It doesn't mean that I'm not being, it doesn't mean that I'm not being honest with you. Like, whenever we're having a conversation, what we're having a conversation about, I'm going to be there. But if I'm not telling you that I like to go out and, drink crazy just because I think that you're going to judge me. You don't realize me drinking crazy is the reason why the character is that I am with coaching your kids, right? Like trying to cut that out to make it seem like it's not a part of who I am to be who I am today. So, but yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I try to remind people too about, like who's somebody like Kanye, right? Like people love Kanye, but then people hate Kanye, right. And then it's like, but that's all Kanye. You know what I mean? Like you can't have one side of a person without that other side. And not to say that that other side of anyone is bad or dark. It's part of them. And it's like if you really like them or love them, like it would be all of it and not just these certain parts of us. And okay.
No, and I just want to just touch on the Kanye thing, and that's the thing. So I'm a Kanye lover. The reason why I can see past stuff that, because again, just because I love Kanye doesn't mean that I agree with everything that he says or that I cannot be offended by something that he does. But the reason why I can look past it is because I don't make it about Kanye. I make it about myself. And so when I come back to me and I think, how many times have I said something where people made me, it was apparent that I offended somebody? Did I want them to forgive me in a sense, right? Did I want them to say, you know what, that's a part of Troy, but that's not who he gives me all the time. And again, like I said, when you're creating this world, nobody in this world is doing everything that everybody likes. If you were, then we would all just be the same. Like, I mean, there wouldn't be, like you said, there wouldn't be any stuff to scroll. We would just all be living the same life. But it's those dark things in a sense, and I don't mean dark in a bad way, but it's the things that are in the dark that come to light is what make us shine and become different. Go ahead, Jay.
Right, and that's what I was going to say real quick. Like, we're using light and dark, but for instance, nighttime is daytime to a lot of creatures. And even some people, nighttime is their daytime and vice versa. Daytime is their nighttime. So it's not that light and dark is good or bad or anything, but it's hard to be two things. Like, because if you're two, you're not really one or the other. You're something trying to be something you're not. And when we show only parts of ourselves, we're not really being 100. Yeah, 100% is what we're saying. So yeah, just being true to yourself in any given moment at all times. And
no, go ahead.
But I was gonna say too that not to say to not improve yourself in certain areas. That's not to say that, hey, I'm just done. You just take me. That's it. I'm never gonna change. I'm never gonna get better or worse. This is just me. Like no. It's but still appreciating all parts of yourself.
But and to your point, like I think improving yourself is all based off of you. Like it can't be based off of what nobody else thinks. So like some people would tell me, like I talk this way. Like I know I'm talking to you on here, but I always talk loud. The reason why my voice is hoarse is because I talk loud all the time. But some people don't like me to talk loud. You know what I mean? Like they like you need to start talking quiet, right? So what I do is I don't not talk loud. I continue to talk the way that I talk, but because I know that they're uncomfortable when I'm around them, I may not talk as much. I might just, again, I'm not changing myself. I'm evolving for the environment that I'm in. Just like when I go to work, you can't talk on the phone all day when you go into a job. So you don't talk on the phone. It's not that you stop talking on the phone forever or you change who you are. It's just like when I'm in this environment, I'm going to adjust. And then when I get out of this environment, I move back to, I let the complete light shine. But the reality again is you don't get the job if you don't talk the way that you talk. You don't get to be around these people if you don't have that attitude. Like that's what people love about you, even when they want it to be dim a little bit. But it's still you. But it's when we start changing or we start trying to say, you know what, I cannot do this at all. I cannot be this at all because around these people or around this thing or on this place, this is how they're going. Now, again, this is projection. On this thing, this is how people are going to look at me because of a specific situation. And you cannot be like that. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like, that's what makes people tired. When you're being something that you're not for a long time, for extended amount of time. Like you're trying to fit into this mold or you're trying to fit into this box that nobody put you in except yourself based on how you think you're supposed to be around certain people. And you wonder like, why am I always tired? Now, there's a difference between fatigue and tired. Like fatigue, maybe from workouts or something, okay. But like just mentally tired, mentally drained is because you're either doing something like you don't love. So in that sense, you're not really being your true self too. You're being fearful or something, or you're putting on these masks that you think you have to carry all the time. And the reality is like once you let go, once you take it off, it's surprising how many people are like, man, I've been waiting for you to be here. I've been waiting for you to be you. Finally, you are loved as you are.
Bro, so look, this is how that mug works. So in a day's time, I'm going to go coach, right? I'm going to go see my mom. I'm going to go see my mother-in-law. I'm going to be with my wife. I'm going to be with my black friends, and I'm going to be with my white friends, right? So in all of these different places, I'm changing who I am. Like, again, I never get to be me because when I'm with my white friends, I can't use the lingo that I want to use. When I'm with my black friends, I got to overly use the lingo that I want to use. When I'm with my mother-in-law, I got to be soft. When I'm with my mama, I got to be loving. When when I'm with my kids coaching, I got to yell and I got to scream. And so now I have all of these different pieces of myself that's all over the place. But the thing is, in some of those situations, I cannot share the other person with the other. So when my white friends, I cannot use the lingo overly or at all. Or when I'm with my black friends, I cannot exclude the lingo. They'll be like, what's wrong with you? Right? Because now people are starting to feel like, well, who is this person that I'm around? But the reason why is because I'm not ever me. I'm always just a piece of me. It's like a puzzle. And so I think that's, again, if you're in this social world and you're trying to shine, the reason why there's a lacking of shining because you never allow it to happen. Now, again, I understand using the black and white situation as an example. I'm not going to talk the way that I talk with my black friends with my white friends, but that doesn't mean that the entire package has to change, which does happen because of the language. So, it's just little pieces like that. But go ahead, bro.
Well, two things. You reminded me of something funny. So, like my mom, shout out to my mom if she's watching, but she likes to ask me a lot of questions. And all the time, I like to stay in the moment. I don't know what's coming up. I don't know what so-and-so is doing or nothing. I never know. And my mom has told me she asks me these questions because her mom asks her about me. And the answer is just, I don't know, because he doesn't tell me anything. So one time, like my grandmother caught a clip of this and she was like, he's really talking. I thought he didn't talk. And it's just funny. It's just funny though, like the perceptions you can take on by being around different people and the parts of yourself you show or choose to show. And so that brings me to my question. Is there a such thing as a true us that we can totally be around anyone at every time? Like, because even in that, before you answer, it's even knowing who our true self really is. Because a lot of times we don't even really know that.
Yeah. So first off, shouts out to moms. Glad you got to join us today and check us out. I definitely appreciate it. And I think, and again, this is just me on the cusp, just telling you the first thing that came to my mind. And the answer is yes. And the person is the person that we are when we're by ourselves. Because I think the person that we are when we're by ourselves is going to be the most, I don't want to use the word calm, but it's the most thoughtful person. Like when you're by yourself, there's more thought than there's action. So like you think about what you want to do and then you do it. And not only do you do it, you would do it in a way that's really thoughtful. Like even when I think about whenever I'm by myself, one of the things that I like to do is I like to watch TV, right? So whenever I watch TV, now again, this is telling you that I feel like I'm a thoughtful person, right? So that's the person that I am when I'm by myself. So when I get ready to watch TV, I say, okay, cool. I want to give me something to eat. I want to sit it down. I want to get comfortable. This is how I do it. Or when I'm working on my job, I say, okay, I need to do research. Like I'm very thoughtful and methodical about the way that I move. And I think that if I am that way with people, I can still talk loud. I can still be aggressive. I can still be loving. I can still be, but it's just doing it in a thoughtful way. So that way I don't, again, I'm not saying be reserved. I'm saying I'm still going to talk the way that I talk, but I'm just saying that maybe the communication, I believe, or the extension of it will be more thoughtful, just like I am with myself. I like to be thoughtful for myself, so be thoughtful with everybody else. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it answers it. And the reason I still kind of question it is because certain people bring out certain things in me, and vice versa. Like people have told me, like, man, when I'm around you, so and so, so and so. And in a similar way, though, like you bringing up all the different people, you probably wouldn't talk to your grandmother the same way you talk to your best friend. But I mean, you could though. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking of like, what would that look like? Would it be? Would you talk to how you talk to your grandmother to everyone, or talk to your best friend and everyone? That's just a mild example.
And
but
I think that's about, and well, specifically with what you're saying, I think content is a big piece of that, right? Like, but the funniest part is I've seen people do it. So like, I'm not gonna go talk to my grandmama about big booties, right? I'm just not gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
But I've been on social media and I saw people talk to their grandmamas about big booties and stuff, and it's the most hilarious thing. And the thing is, the grandmama or somebody, they're not offended. There's just communication, and you can see it is not as bad as you might have thought. Because, but I think that's again about you being you in the way that you talk to your granny about it. Because like, I'm not gonna go to my grandma and be like, booty, 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 rocking everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Be like, hey, granny, you know I like booties. You know what I'm saying? You know, go ahead, Jay.
I just had a thought. I think it's actually okay. It's the dynamic that's set kind of from the beginning of the relationship, right? So like, some grandparents may be very disciplinary. Some may allow you to just be you. And even though you get older, you still kind of play that role of the same dynamic of the relationship. Like whether it's a coworker or like with the coworker, you might be very cordial, even if you don't work with them anymore. Unless y'all are together in a fun setting, then you're like, oh, you're a real person. You're a real person. Okay. And it's that dynamic that kind of sets it. So that's interesting.
So I'm gonna tell you what you just made me think about when you say the dynamic of how it was set. And I'm gonna start with family, and then I'll extend out to friends or people that you just meet, right? So I think that's a part of the reason why families always have some type of resistance toward each other, because your family knows you for who you are. Because a lot of the time, the people that we're talking about are people that you grew up with. So they saw all the versions of you because you didn't learn how to hide them until you got older, or you didn't learn how to piece them apart until you got older. And so when your family sees you as this adult that's piecing yourself together, they may look at you like, you
used to pee on yourself.
Yeah, so just like, right, like all of these different things, and so your family is resistant to it because it's not what they're used to. Now, again, I'm not saying that you change and do all. It's just in most scenarios that I've ever heard, it's always family is not supporting me or family is not there for me like everybody else. But the reason why is because your family is waiting for you to show up to the party, right? Now, when it comes to everybody that you meet that you didn't get to set that same stage for when you were a kid, they respect you for who you showed them when they first met you, right? And so like, me being a real estate broker, everybody that I meet at this point is like, okay, he's a real estate broker. And then when I tell them, hey, I make music, they be like, what? You make music? When it's like a super shock. And now it's like, well, can I really trust his music? Because can he really make? I mean, I know he's good with real estate, but I don't think he can do. You don't know if he can do music for real, right? And if they hear it, it's like a big shock. But again, I never want to share that with them because I didn't think that they were going to respect it. But the thing is, I didn't respect it myself, right? And so to your point, you are right. It's about how the stage is set in the very beginning. But that's the reason why we have to start figuring out how to be ourselves with the things that we do today, so that way people can accept us wholly. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I love that, and that's one thing I do moving forward, or at least try to, with all new relationships, like people I meet, is just be me as soon as possible. Because that way, I mean, if you're gonna go, you're gonna go now. If you're gonna stay, it's cool. You're seeing the real me right now. And if more people would just be like that, like there would be no lost friendships. You know what I mean? Because when people say they're changed, they didn't really change. They're just being the part of themselves maybe they always wanted to be, or another part of themselves that they wanted to be. But it's not necessarily a lie. It's just they feel more free. They feel more open now to be that.
I just love that. I mean, I think you got to hit that again, but like just saying that it's not that they changed. I wouldn't. They're just who they've always been. They just never showed you that other side. But you got to say it again, though, bro.
Yeah. But before I say it again, and there's two ways though, because sometimes we won't allow people to be who they really are, and we don't realize the role that we can play in other people being themselves too. Especially like if they might say something to us and we judge them real quick and be like, I can't believe you said that, and they're like, oh, well, I'm not gonna share this with you now. Yeah, go ahead.
But to that point though, sometimes we won't allow people to be who they are because we've already set that up for ourselves. Like, there's no way they can do that because I can't do that much. We're not saying that part, but it's like, that's not cool because that much wouldn't be cool for me. And the reality is I would really like to do that, but I know that people ain't gonna accept it from me. So it's like a big domino effect that goes down the line, and you are blocking them, but you're really blocking yourself, because the moment when you release that, then you look at, there have been things that I've changed about myself. And then I looked at the people that I judged for a long time. And then I was like, dang, I was tripping. I was tripping. Like, I was tripping, bro. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, one, I forgot the other thing that you told me to bring back to say, so I apologize. Secondly, but I think that's part of being true to yourself, revealing what's hidden, like recognizing that you were tripping. Like you said, you went back and apologized to certain people because of certain things. You were like, you know what? I was wrong in this instance, or I didn't see clearly in this instance, and I'm ready to admit that. But some, they may be, the ego might be so strong that they're allowing to be so strong that they won't even see that they were wrong or admit anything. Like, oh, that other person is still messed up or still wrong.
Yeah, and see, that's the tricky part for us. So like, if you do have that person that never can recognize your gift, is what I'm gonna call it, or your being, then that's why, like you said, I try to be me as early as possible, so that way I'm not trying to move you out of my life. The thing is, if we don't got the same things going on, I'm not gonna be connected to you anyway. Like the people that I talk to all the time, and again, this is the reason why it's so puzzling to me, why I would be so resistant to just be me 100%, because the people who are with me are the people who are with me. They didn't like, yo, I'm gonna tell you one thing that happened. I went to it was early this summer, I believe. I got asked to go speak at an event for, the Dunbar Pyramid, and it was to give an award. I mean, it was to recognize all the high standing teachers and administrative staff at that pyramid in Dunbar Fort Worth Independent School District. And I remember when I got asked to do it, he said keynote speaker, and my mind was kind of like blown. So now when I say that, nothing but limitations started to come over me. Like, oh, they're gonna think this about me. Look at how I look. It was just all these different things that started to become mental blocks. And then I reached out to my friend and I was like, man, you got me doing this keynote speaking thing. You sure? Like, me? Like, look at me. This is me, dog. You know what I'm saying? And he said to me in my message, like, bro, what you talking about? You're the person that told me to be me unapologetically. You're the person that told me, and then it hit me. I was like, dang. He said, dog, all I want you to do is go up there and be you. And then I thought to myself, like, dang, it's crazy that I started to feel like I had to be somebody completely different to go do something that somebody already chose me because of me to go and do. And again, that's how we are. That's how we move. And aside from the keynote speaking engagement, like, being a coach, I have all these people looking at me every week. How is this person interacting with my kid? And now again, on the surface level of it, it's like I don't do anything wrong to kids. I don't never try to hurt anybody. All I do is try to motivate people in my life. But then I feel like if I say this if I say this, they're gonna be like, But no, they got me there because they hear how loud I am. They hear how I encourage. They hear how these things. But I cannot see that because of the wall that we continue to put up in front of ourselves. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. And man, that's so true. And I love how you said that because, yeah, whenever we do get opportunities, sometimes we think we got to change everything. Oh, I gotta figure out how to do this. I gotta be the best at this. I gotta do. And it's like, whoa, you got the opportunity for you. Like how you are right now is perfect. Like you are you. And yeah, I did need to hear that. So appreciate that. And yeah, I think that's part of really just revealing what you kept hitting is just be you. Just like trust that that's enough. And let's say it's not enough. Let's say people don't like you or whatever. It's cool because now you don't have to, I don't want to say necessarily waste time over there, but you can move on to the people who would appreciate you for who you are.
And to your point, bro, like that I want to just touch on the not enough. There is a such thing as not enough, but that's only based off of you. Like we know what we want. Again, when we talk about me going to go speak, I was saying it was not enough because I was trying to base it off of something fictitious that I don't know that people want. Like I don't know what they want, so it's always going to not be enough because now I can reach and grab for any million different things and be like, okay, I don't know this enough. I don't know this enough. It's the same thing about real estate. Like I've been doing videos to give people information. But in the process of me trying to do videos, I'm thinking like, okay, well, what do these people need to know? What do these people know? Instead of just saying what I know. And so the thing is, when I start talking about what's not enough, it's like whenever I've done something and I still have more to say. Well, that wasn't enough. I know that I have more to give. It's not based off what I think people need to receive. It's just about what did you want to give? How much of myself do I want to give? How much do I feel like can be helpful? How much can I give to people to help uplift them if that's what I want to do? And if I don't feel like I've done enough, not based off of what somebody's told me or what I think somebody needs, then I haven't done enough. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. And when you said like this fictitious thing that people want, it made me think of when we start comparing ourselves to people. We like, oh, they want this type of personality. They want this person like this because this person over here big. But what's funny is we can draw inspiration from opposing messages. And I just want to give an example. Like, so there's a guy named David Goggins. Some of y'all probably heard of him. He's like this extreme workout person. Like, I think he was an maybe SEAL or something, Navy SEALs. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what part of branch of the government he was in. But like, he's always pushing himself. Like, he might run 21 miles a day or something like it's nothing. And all his videos are like, you got to do this. Stop being soft. Just do it. Like, and it's funny. I even sent it to you, Troy, as a joke. But then since me and you've been running, some of it's like, yeah, man, he's right. Yeah, push yourself, but just do a little more. And then, but on the flip side, like my message is, yes, push yourself, but just keep it easy. Like if you want to do 100 push-ups a day, start doing 3 push-ups a day. And it's going to get so easy that now you can do 5 push-ups a day. It's going to get so easy. So it's still about progress, but it's two opposing. One is like, go as hard as you can, kill yourself. The other one's like, nah, just be gentle. But you can still get something from everything. And it's room for the same audience to enjoy the same opposing views, if that makes sense.
No, 100. So number one, I'm gonna shout out to you too, because again, I just want to highlight how not giving ourselves the right kind of credit also is a hindrance. Like we have to be able to celebrate ourselves in a way, because if we don't celebrate ourselves, then we're cheating the world too. And so the reason why I say shout out to you is because in the spirit of talking about running, like we've been training to run a 5K, right? And then Jay Clay came onto our private post this past week in a calm and cool, collective way. Now, I know him, so I know when he's happy or he's crunk about something because I've seen him, right? And so he was like, yeah, man, you know, I ran 4 miles, you know, 4.09. And again, in my mind, I'm blown away. I'm like, you ran 4 miles without stopping, bro? That's crazy. I'm like literally tripping. But I could tell that it didn't appear to me that he was giving himself credit, like when you wrote a tight song and you be like, man, this mug go, I know it go hard, right? And so I came back on to tell him, like, dog, I don't, you got to know what you did. Then not only that, because you've done it, number one, I'm inspired anyway. But if he had come on, I probably would have been even more fired up, because it's like we've accomplished the goal. Like now, and that's the beauty of it, right? Your achievements, and I'm not talking about just Jay Clay, I'm talking about all of us. Meaning when we get to be ourselves, do what we want to, and then we're happy about it, they become everybody's achievement. It's everybody is happy. Everybody got that. And so I thought to myself, like, dang, we did that mug. And even though I didn't do it, and I came and I said, man, I'm inspired by you. I don't know what that means for me today, but tight, right? And so what that makes me, I guess the point I'm making is we have to own these things too. We have to celebrate these things. Like, and again, I think about a grand reveal, right? Whenever we had the gender reveal for my baby, like for Brody and for TJ, we wanted to be as loud as possible. Like, and what I mean by that is not necessarily screaming, but we had a party. We made it like a game. We invited everybody, and the reason why is because those successes, but it has to be a success for us first. Those successes have to be loud. They have to be. They have to be grand, in my opinion, anyway. And to me, that's about you celebrating and giving yourself the correct amount of adulation and credit that you deserve, because that's when we stop hiding things. When you can be celebrate, first of all, when you can celebrate yourself, other people will celebrate you. You will be less likely to hold anything in the dark. And shouts out to my cousin Timo. He said, "Sub fam, Troy, and what's good, Jay Clay? Hey man, appreciate you joining us today, man."
Yeah, and so one, Troy, I appreciate you for saying that and chopping me out on that. So what's interesting is the reason why it wasn't a big deal to me was because I was going the easy route. Like, so I started off just maybe 30 minutes walking. Then I was walking and running a little bit. Then I was walking and running a little bit more. Then I was running with a little bit of walking. So, but it was always the same amount of effort. It wasn't like I was just pushing myself all the time. So it's like, it was almost effortless to achieve it. That 2 days before I did that, I did it with 3 miles. So in my mind, it's like, oh, I already achieved it. I'm already there. What's another mile? And it's still great. It's just that I didn't recognize it until you really said it. And I appreciate it. It was like, yeah, you're right. That is something special.
But I'm gonna show you something too, bro. And again, shout out to you, Timo. We good, man. And like I said, you joining us today is everything. Like anytime anybody comes on and gives any kind of energy, it's the best in the world.
Yeah.
But look, on TikTok, right? I've seen people's work, and I'm only using working out because we're talking about running. But I literally I saw this lady, and they got these sleds that people push to, I guess, build up strength or whatever, right? And they showed her in 2021, right? In 2021, she was pushing the sled across the floor. And I'm not saying that it was either hard or easy. All I know is she was doing it, right? I cannot judge what's hard or easy to a person, right? And so then they showed her 3 months later, and she was pushing it. It looked like she was going a little faster, right? Again, I don't know whether it was hard or easy. And then up until this day, she's lost all of this weight, and she was pushing it fast. And again, I don't know if it's either hard or easy. But the thing that I do know is she started and she got to an end point, and she was, in a sense, celebrating herself. And the crazy part about it was I have no reason to watch this lady pushing this sled. I wasn't attracted to her. There was nothing that was it was nothing that should draw me in outside of the fact that, okay, this lady is celebrating herself, and I can see that there's joy. And I felt the win for her. Now, again, I didn't go the whole journey. It was snapshots, a minute and 30-second snapshots, but I felt the win with her. And again, I don't know what that meant in my life, but I can tell you that because of that, I was inspired. I was just like, I can get to a point. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, no, you're right, and that's true. Which is why we should be ourselves fully and celebrate those wins, because it's not only that, you always celebrate things, you claim it as your own. Like if your city's team wins, your sports teams win, we won. You didn't have anything to do with that, but you felt like you were part of it. If your culture or your school wins something, or your city, your town, even the Olympics when Usain Bolt and Michael Phelps were in it. Like Michael Phelps, he was repping the U.S., but we were just celebrating his greatness. We felt like it was a win. Usain Bolt wasn't repping the U.S., but we still felt his greatness, and we celebrated like because it's joy is universal, and love is universal. Like everybody understands that without having anything, which is how you know it's real. Where fear, on the other hand, is something that if you told me your fear, again, I'm gonna look at you like, man, that's nothing to be afraid of. You're stronger than that. You're better than that. And so that's how you can kind of know like what's real and what's not. If something in you is rooted in fear, you're not really being yourself. If something in you is being rooted in love, you are.
And to that point, when we talk about revealing, what you've kept hidden, like we're winning every day. Like, and we're hiding like we're not winning. Like,
man.
I mean, we're winning every single day, but we act like we're not. And that's the reason why, to me, celebrating things it's big, it's huge, it has to happen. And I want to go back to your point about like sports. I remember I was at a Mavericks game one time, and at this game, they had at halftime they have people come out and they shoot shots from half court to win money. Oh, right. But this day they were giving like an 80-inch screen TV away, right? And so the crowd is watching this dude come out, and he shoots the shot, and everybody was like, "Oh, all right." And so the dude was like, "Should I give him another shot?" And they was like, everybody was like, "Yeah, give him another shot." So he shot it again, and everybody was like, "Oh, all right." And so the dude was like, "I'm gonna give him one more shot," right? And so the dude gets the ball and he shoots it and he swishes it. Now, the way the audience was yelling, you would think that the Dallas Mavericks just won the championship. Like, you would think, like, you wouldn't even have known that many people was engaged. But the reality of it was we celebrated like we had an 80-inch TV that was in a row home with us. And so, like, that's the reason why getting up out of bed, I'm not telling you to tell the world, "Hey, guess what, guys? I made it out of bed today." But you need to tell yourself. You need to tell yourself. You need to be like, "Dang, I got out the bed today," right? Because what's going to happen is that's going to start to translate to everything you did. Man, I taught my kids something new today. Man, I really did. You can like, look, I cooked something new today. Oh, I figured out something new in this book today. Like, those are wins, and that translates to people. Go ahead, Jay.
But yeah, but like you said, maybe don't tell everybody you woke up today. But if it's said with that much joy, people would love to see it. I would watch that. Like anything with joy in it is just something that you're just drawn to. It's you can't help it because you see yourself in it. Like we all are made of joy. And when we don't allow ourselves to be joyful and see joyfulness, that's when we're not happy with ourselves. That's when we're hiding, in a sense, trying to not be light. But we should light up at all the time.
And you know what? I think I love the term that you said. That's the things that we're drawn to. Like, and the reality of it is we can be drawn back to ourselves. And what I'm saying is, if I wake up, and again, I get it. What we're saying is not the easiest thing to do because I don't even do it every day. I don't wake up that excited every day, right? But if I get up and I'm really happy and I'm really feeling myself, then I'm going to start being more drawn to myself. I'm going to start being more into what I got going on. And again, that's going to resonate with everything that I'm not going to just say people, everything around you. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, you actually make a good point because people are drawn to what they think they are. And like when people, like when you had said, I don't wake up happy every day. Like some people love listening to people say things like that. Like the world isn't a great place to be. It's terrible. And people are drawn to that because they believe that that's the state that they're in. When the world can be whatever you want it to be because you are the one that's giving it its meaning. You are the one that's giving it its purpose. It's like, you're like, what is my purpose in life? Whatever you do on purpose.
Whatever you do on purpose. Boy, that's cool. What is your purpose in life? Whatever you do on purpose. So I guess in summing this kind of up for me, like, number one, I would say stop hiding from yourself. Worrying about other people is a whole nother step in this. That's just a whole nother thing. But appreciate yourself. Like, acknowledge every step. Wake up, and if it was tough for you to wake up, but you do decide to get out of bed, you need to be like, man, I did that.
Yeah,
I did that. Go ahead, Jay.
And create.
Create.
It's no bounds on what you can create. You could knit a sweater. You can create plastic molds. I don't know. Like, and again, you could be content. It could be whatever you want, but create for you.
You know what that made me think of? I know we're supposed to be wrapping it up, but it made me think of some of my elders. I'm gonna say it like that. And fortunately for me, being young at some point, and I was managing people, I managed people that were always older than me. And one of the things that I found that my elders would always do, they would always take on a new craft. They would start cooking new stuff. They was, like you said, they would start knitting. Like, some of them was like, Troy, can you teach me how to do some of this internet stuff? Like, they were always trying to figure out a new way to bring more things into their life that they may have not looked at in the past, or they may have judged in the past, and now they wanted to be a part of them. And so I love when you say create, because creation is everything. And not only do you create, when you create and share. Like, show people how creative you are. Show the people in your family how, it don't have to be on social media. Show the people closest to you how creative that you are. Shouts out to my Uncle Didi, right? Now, my Uncle Didi is a comedian. He also worked in a job for like 1,000 years. Shouts out to Didi for working for 1,000 years on a job. And in this most recent year, he started cooking. Now, the thing that I would have never thought for my Uncle Didi was to be like a baker. Like, I never thought that. Now, he might have always been a baker in his heart, but he might have not just been wanting to share that he probably was interested in baking, because what does a baker and a comedian have to do with each other? Well, to me, it has everything to do with each other, because that's what he is, right? But the thing is, now he's creating, and when he does put stuff up, he brings it in, lets us taste it, and I'm like, okay, pretty dope with that. Or he might share it on social media. But the thing that's most important of it all is that the times that I've seen him and he talked about it, he was so happy. It didn't even have to do with the product. It didn't even have to do with what he shared on social media. Like, I'm just saying, he was so happy to talk about these things. And to me, that's a prime example of when you share who you are and you stop allowing those things to be in the background, there is a joy that comes along with that you cannot describe. Go ahead, Jay.
Shout out to Didi. If you ever make a comedy cooking show, I'm definitely gonna watch that.
They go together like glue and something. Real talk though.
but yeah, definitely appreciate everybody that joined us this week. Next week we're gonna be talking about remembering what works. So like we've talked about this is our 4th year, like the start of our 4th year. And throughout these years, we talked about a lot of stuff, a lot of things to implement, and we're gonna kind of revisit some of these to see what actually works and what sticks, what didn't stick, and why, and things of that nature. So make sure you join us next week. Remember, if you found this helpful in any way, hit that share button, like it, all that stuff. We everywhere now. It's all over all the streaming platforms. So find us there, Perfect Mode. And yeah, just remember, you're a perfect creation made by a perfect creator. So you might as well accept your perfection and enter perfect mode.
If I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm Jay Clay, rapper, the spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect. Perfect. Everything, many things.